The world's been through a huge transition. The ways we connect and live out our purpose have shifted. Stress and burnout is prevalent, and taking care of oneself seems like a someday thing. Retired Navy SEAL Commander John McCaskill and Dr. Teresa Larson, founder of Movement RX, know all too well the feelings of chaos, stress, and burnout. They've found ways to break through the noise, to create calm in their everyday life, both personally and professionally. Together with their team of support coaches, they have created a 21-day mindfulness experience that puts them side by side with you to help you live more connected with purpose, right here, right now, because that's where life is truly happening.
All right, welcome everyone. I hope this is broadcasting because right now it's not showing that it is, but hey, we'll figure that out later and broadcast it after the recording, after the live session, if not. Anyhow, John McCaskill here, Navy SEAL in Colorado Springs with 2 Marines and an Air Force veteran online. What happens when you get a retired Navy SEAL, 2 former Marines, and an Air Force veteran online? Who knows? Maybe we change the world. What do you guys think? Dr. T, Mike, Hank?
We definitely have some good jokes going around, that's for sure. And we're people that don't quit, that's for sure. That's what happens.
That's right. That's right. Well, hey, Hank,
Mike.
I'm just wondering why they only put me up in a Marriott for this TDY.
Straight up Air Force there.
Yeah. Nice, Hank.
Well, I'm looking forward to being here. I was looking at the resumes of people here, so I feel kind of underqualified. So I told you, Teresa, I want to brag on myself. At best of my knowledge, I'm the only phys ed major on this video. So I'm going to throw my best card early,
That's awesome. So even though I'm a PT, I did political science for my undergrad. That was not helpful for getting my degree later on in life. But hey, again, we're a group of people that don't quit here. So
that's right. Well, talking about not quitting, we're here to speak about a 21-day mindfulness experience that we put together, Movement RX, myself, Dr. Teresa Larson, to put together, and what that experience looks like, what it consists of, and then we'll hear from Hank, who went through the experience and had some of his folks at FedEx go through, and then Mike as a leader about how important it is as a leader to stress mental health and just and taking care of yourself. So Dr. T, you want to take it away and talk a little bit about the experience first?
Yes. So this, John and I had been teaching these mindfulness and movement seminars to organizations for about 6 months. And we realized that there needed to be a what's next, right? What do individuals do after they experience a seminar and learn how to create these new habits? Now, how do they make those habits permanent? So we decided to create this experience that was an easy time frame to do. 21 days is a start to a habit. Research shows it takes 70 days for a habit to become automatic. And so what we did, John will put in the link or the comments, the link to our guide. It's actually, there's a journal guide that gives someone the structure of the 21 days and adds on all the way up to 70 days on how to build this habit. And so this habit of mindfulness encompasses movement, it encompasses meditation, it encompasses how you eat, what you put in your mouth. And we've found that this practice of mindfulness, John is a coach and an instructor in it. I am a receiver of mindfulness training from a biofeedback meditation coach too. And I'm a movement specialist as a doctor of PT. And so combining our two knowledge bases and experiences, we kind of put those together into this experience where you get mindfulness in the form of movement pattern retraining, right? You get mindfulness in the form of slowing down and thinking about what you put in your mouth, how you're eating it, how you're digesting the food. Research actually shows the more focused you are on what you eat, the better you digest it. The other thing is the mindset retraining. We all could let go of stories that don't serve us. We all could let go of painful experiences or reframe those painful experiences. We all could use more equanimity in our life and more forgiveness and gratitude. Even myself to this day, having practiced it for so long, right? So but how do you stay, like those are all great and good, but how do you stay consistent? Because consistency is the key to building a habit. So that's why John and I created this 21-day experience and have rolled it out to the masses, whether you're part of an organization or you're a leader of an organization, or you're not even in an organization, you're a human being who's just looking for support and legit guided information and like feedback and courses to help you stay healthy. That's what this experience is about. So we actually have found that in our latest group that went through, there was a 35 to 80% increase in energy from the people that experienced it, which means that their ability to be more creative and find flow meaning being focused on one thing for a period of time. Who would love to have more flow? Anyone? Mike, Hank, would you like to have more flow in your life?
I could use some, yep.
Absolutely, yeah, of course.
So yeah, it's important, right, for our overall longevity, our ability to stay in touch with the work we do as well as our loved ones. And so we found some of the stats were actually pretty astounding. Like the people had such a great improvement in their energy and time, a decrease in their experience with pain, and an improvement, even small improvements in their movement health. So that's why we're here today, is to share this with you. And we've got Hank on board, who is a director over at FedEx. He is an Air Force veteran. Okay, I'll take this one away, John. He is an Air Force veteran, crew chief of C-130s, which my older brother flies, and I've been in it a number of times too. And for 12 years, he was in the Air Force, and now he works with FedEx, and he has invested in our programs for his people, but especially for himself as a leader. So Hank, welcome. Is there anything you'd like to share about being here and what you just love about the mindfulness experience?
Yeah, sure. I have plenty. I work for FedEx Logistics, and back when COVID started and we started like working from home and everything, I know myself and how I was feeling. Sitting in a chair every day, not walking around, talking to people in offices, at the coffee machine, water cooler, things like that, and just not getting the interaction that I would normally get working at the office. I was starting to feel it both physically and mentally. And looking on, LinkedIn and following a lot of veterans that were out there, I came across Dr. T and John. Before they were actually together, they were still sort of separate at that time, and took interest in what they had. And eventually they formed, they got together and formed this webinar where for a few hours you could, come in and they would link up with you and speak to several topics around movement, mindfulness. They talked about multitasking and the myth of that and stuff like that. And I was able to, talk to my management about that and set up several sessions and have about 150 people sit in on the various sessions and listen to them speak, and received great feedback on it. Then the 21-day challenge came up, and again proposed that to management who were already familiar with the other webinar, and they're like, let's give it a shot. So we had about 10 people sign up to go through it and experience it kind of like a pilot, right? And see if, what the feedback was on it. And I'll tell you, as Dr. T mentioned, it's tough when you're doing it alone, right? But when you have a community of people, you have a Facebook group that you're in connection with and hearing what they have to say. And then if you set something up, like in my case, at work, and you have a group of people there communicating, and you're not so much alone, you're all in this experience together, it helps and you stay engaged. For me, my routine was getting up, and you got an email every day from Movement RX about what was on schedule for the day. My meditation or my mindfulness piece was usually right before bed. That would help me, at the end of the day. kind of wind down. And, listening to John, man, he's got that sweet voice, just kind of helped out. And Movement RX had different programs during the day, where you would listen to speakers from Dr. T's team. One was pretty good. I think it was Dr. Megan, maybe, who was the runner. And, running was always something when I did, I struggled with a little bit, and she had some great tips on how to do it. So you have all these different resources of just not movement, but mindfulness and put together. And it's, it's not even a huge ask of your day, because the movement pieces can be done, while you're at work, between meetings or on calls or whatever. And you get that done, and you feel a little bit better about it in various places instead of sitting all day. And then you have the mindfulness piece, which helps you emotionally and stuff, that you can take whenever as you're walking. You can listen to John or listen to that and stuff. Yeah, I mean, so it was a great program, and certainly one that I'll continue to see if we can bring on more and more people to experience it and everything, because of the benefits and the feedback I've gotten from people.
Well, thank you, Hank. One thing you mentioned was that it takes very little time, and that's an ask. Like, people are like, well, this seems like there's so much involved with this. Literally, minimum requirement is 10 minutes a day.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yeah, we kept it very short and simple,
Yeah, it's very simple. And actually talking with Mike, so Mike Ettore is on with us, and he is a 24-year retired Marine Corps officer, infantry officer, and he has actually been an executive mentor of mine and my husband. And I'm gonna do a little shout out here for Mike. He wrote this book, and I love it because it talks about JJ did Tide Buckle. Don't worry, Air Force, Navy SEAL, you probably don't know what that is, but just great book. But he's been a tremendous, not cheerleader, but also support in growing Movement RX, and he's actually on the platform. And Mike, you've actually spoken to the fact of, we spoke about executive health and how it needs to be something simple, and it needs to be something that can fit into the day, that doesn't require a big ask. And so if you don't mind, Mike, sharing just a little bit about yourself and how you got involved with Movement RX, and I'd actually like you to also go into executive health, like what your story is around that, because that's very powerful.
Yeah, sure. Well, just some background. You've already mentioned, Teresa, 24 years in the Marine Corps, primarily infantry billets. I enlisted an officer, retired, and then worked for a publicly traded company named K-Force. K-Force is about $1.5 billion staffing company, IT and finance and accounting, headhunters. We've found people temporary and permanent jobs. I was hired there in '99 to start a leadership development program. And then the bad news was the dot-com crash hit shortly thereafter. The good news was there was opportunity everywhere. So I would say about 4 years after joining the firm, I was a C-level executive in charge of most of the non-sales functions of the company: marketing, HR, purchasing, IT. If it was a non-sales function, it generally reported up to me. So I went through a lot of tough years. We call them the dog years at K-Force, probably 99 to about 2005. Company was in trouble. We almost got delisted from the NASDAQ. We had to work really hard to pull it out, and we did. But during those years, boy, we didn't take a lot of time for self-care, and we were burning people out, burning ourselves out. And I regret not having the presence of mind to preserve my own energy and health and sanity in some cases, and those of the people that worked for me. It was definitely a war of attrition. So I've experienced that as a group. As an individual, I will tell you flat out, after 15 years in the corporate role, in the C-level executive role, high pressure quarterly earnings calls and all of that, I was mentally and physically shot about my last 3 years in the seat. And I raised my hand and took took retirement. I had a retirement package and I took it. The thought of me, and it was a great company. I can't say enough good about it. So it wasn't work. It was the fact that I really hadn't taken care of myself. Now, that said, I was working out every day, still a faithful Marine, still loving it. I'm talking to you folks here from my home gym. I mean, I've got a weight room most people would die for, but it just shows you that even working out wasn't enough. And the missing piece, I think, was the mindfulness, the mental wellness program. So fast forward those 15 years, I retired, took a year off, and now I'm an executive coach, and I specialize in teaching leadership and organizational skills to senior leadership teams. And I maintain to anyone that'll listen to me, any company, the low-hanging fruit that can give them a competitive advantage is leadership training. Most companies have no leadership training. The other low-hanging fruit, there's two apples, I call them. So the first one's leadership training, which almost nobody does. And then the second low-hanging apple is mental and physical wellness programs. And this program here that you're talking about, Dr. T, fits right in there. And I will tell you that I am a fan of it. Since I retired, I've done several, mostly self-taught and, meditation. And I've learned that the mental in my aspect gave way quicker than the physical did. And now that I am doing the things that you folks recommend, I'm going to be 65 years old in a couple of weeks. And I got to tell you, I have more energy now than when I was 55. I'm at the top of my game mentally, top of my game leadership wise. I almost wish I could go back to work. Not really, because I don't want to be anywhere at 8 a.m. But I think this is really good. I like what Hank said, and I affirm that the presence of a tribe, a tribal, feeling, sense, and atmosphere, I think is key. I think of my former teammates at K-Force, and I know that some people probably would blow this off, but a lot of them would have really adopted this. And I could see it not only making them better at work, I think it would make them better people overall at home. And I think it would foster more collaboration and collegiality among the employees and all of that. And so I love it, and I would encourage anybody out there to listen. I tell my corporate clients, potential clients, and I tell them, listen, there's a big difference between a leadership event and a leadership program. And a program obviously is formal, and it implies duration and follow-up and progression. And that's what you guys are doing here. And I would encourage anyone in a position to make a decision in their company to not only don't be seduced by a mindfulness event or book. Here, we're all going to read this book. That's okay. It's better than nothing. But I would encourage you to strongly consider the program, mindfulness program. So that's all I got for that one, Teresa. I'm obviously a fan. I love it.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate both you and Hank's insights here. And John, you got any questions?
Yeah, not so much questions, but comments, just kind of riffing off of what Mike and Hank have mentioned. Going back to Hank's comment in that, it doesn't take a whole lot of time. There's not a big ask. And really, there's no ask from us. Hey, you do what you feel you can do in the program. It's all pre-recorded content. There is live, but then that's later released as recorded, so you can do what you can on your own schedule. That said, you get that time back, multiple times over. If you spend a few minutes meditating, doing the mindfulness exercises that we talk about, living mindfully, eating mindfully, taking some mindful pauses through your day, you're going to get that time back. And what I mean is you're going to be more efficient through your day, more productive. So what normally takes you 8 hours to do may take you 6 hours to do. So you actually end up getting that time back through your day. And then what Mike mentioned in that this is not an event, it's a full program. And there's a cohort that you go through with. You kind of have a sense of community. We have a Facebook group. We support one another. throughout the 21 days. And then Mike also mentioned a book. This is not a mindfulness book, but you get a book with this. It's a journal. It's a mindfulness journal. It's digital, and you can print it out and actually fill it out with your hand by hand, or you can fill it out digitally. And it helps to develop that habit. It takes somewhere around 66 days to develop a habit, like truly make that automatic in your life. And this journal covers 70 days. So it's the 21 days within the mindfulness experience, and then another 49 public math. I think it's 49 days on top of that. So you get 70 full days. Thanks. I'll ask Hank. I'm not going to ask the Marines to do math. I love you guys. And then the last thing, Hank and I are both wearing these Be Awesome shirts, and that's by one of our first cohort members, Joshua Peach, who's actually partnered with the program. And then Teresa's got the Be Awesome coffee mug. When you go through the program, you're going to get some Be Awesome swag within the program. So I just want to make sure we mentioned all that. So 1, you get your time back. 2, it's not an event, it's a full program. 3, there is a book, but it's a journal for you to fill out. And finally, 4, you get some Be Awesome swag.
Nothing could be more awesome than that. No, it's been, so what's been really awesome about this, let's see how many times I can say awesome, is that through this work, I've gotten a chance to meet all of you. It started with talking about mindfulness on LinkedIn with John, and then meeting Hank, and then meeting Mike. So it's really amazing how the world works. And that's what this tribe is about. Like, there's amazing people in the tribe helping each other. I'm seeing what they're putting out there in the world. And they, like, one of the individuals, he just was able to travel to Greece. He might be watching, Brent, and he talked about he was able to shut off the laptop between his ears and be more present with his spouse and his family. And that's huge. I mean, that's something that impacts your family, that impacts your life. And so, I, as a physical therapist, live in a profession where it can be very symptom-based, like treat the symptom, treat the physical symptom. But I knew that wasn't the whole picture. The whole picture is treating the whole person, neck up and in the body. And that's why this program is actually pretty unique in that it offers both. And here's the thing, like with the employees, for example, that Hank was talking about that have been in this experience, or any employee base out there, there's these EAP programs, I think that's what they're called. And they're sometimes insurance or HR benefits offers programs. But, in speaking to numerous executives, like oftentimes those aren't effective. People don't use them. And so think about, for you as a leader, like trying something like this, doing it for yourself, and then offering it to your people and maybe giving them a chance to invest in it themselves. It doesn't cost much. It's $97 to be able to pay for it. And that's our introductory fee that actually is going to change with cohort 3, which is going to be in August. But it's not a big ask. And when you invest in it yourself, you actually get more return on investment. So those are some things that I would like to throw out there. And the last thing I'll say before I let Hank and Mike and John put their final words in is that, we've had some questions about like, well, why do you add movement to this mindfulness thing? Well, you can't separate them. First of all, there's no biological divide at the neck separating your brain from your body. So healthy behaviors below the neck provide benefit above the neck and vice versa. So you can't have one without the other. There's a connection. And mindfulness is the practice. It's the way of being, and the way you practice that way of being, which is more calm, more focused, more present with the things that matter, which is where life is happening, is through actions, which are simple, easy to digest. And the movement pattern retraining. Imagine if you go squat 300 pounds, or squat your kid, or squat to pick up a 3-ounce pillow and you felt better doing it. Would that benefit you in your life? What if you're able to stand on one leg and balance, for 10 seconds without having to fall over? Or you were able to go pump iron, like use those dumbbells behind Mike and just like pump out 1,000 curls without a problem. Like, imagine what that would do for you in your life. So I'll leave you with that. John, we'll actually put a link to the program in the comments so you can check it out, like the full page besides the journal. But John or Mike or Hank, do you guys have anything else you'd like to say?
Yeah, I'll go first. I support everything you said, Dr. T. And as a former senior executive, I can't tell me how many pitches I got per day, per week. I mean, it's like those World War II movies when the planes are getting flak shot on over Germany. I mean, it's just every day, more spam, more emails, more phone calls, voicemails, and all of that. I would encourage decision makers, leaders to focus on this. And when I mean that, I would encourage leaders, corporate leaders, not to assume that they don't have problems within their team when it comes to mental and physical wellness and endurance and preparedness and all that. In fact, I think a wise executive would assume that there is some degree of this disease, so to speak, this affliction in their corporate team. And the monetary investment is minimal compared to absenteeism, injury on the job, daydreaming, and next thing you know, you have an accident or a poorly written email or whatever. This is an absolute no-brainer. And I think it's the cutting edge of, like I said, two pieces of low-hanging fruit: leadership training and mental and physical wellness programs. And of the mental, this is a big one right here. And I would say that in my studies as a leadership coach, executive leadership and all of that, it always comes back to two things: character, integrity, and the other thing is the mindset, the mentality, the mental health of the executive, of the leader, affects the performance just about one-on-one. It always comes back to that. So I'll get off it now, but say this: there's case studies a mundo of executives who've had it all, leadership teams that have been successful, and then suddenly they start faltering, and sometimes they crater. And often it gets pinpointed back to a couple of events or just endurance type performance where they got tired. And they got so used to success, they thought that they could keep going 6, 7, 10 years in a row like they did. And of course, people got older, more responsibility and all that. They didn't take care of the vehicle, and it broke down just like a mechanical vehicle did. So I'm a fan, Dr. T and John. So anything I can do to help, please let me know, but I'm a fan.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate you. And Hank, do you have any last words?
I do. I'll be quick. I mean, Mike was spot on. There's not much I can add to that because he touched on everything I would have said, in that it is important, the movement and the mindfulness piece. And I had, after going through these programs, I had a number of people approach me and said, you know what, we're glad this was brought in, and that, the company cared enough about us to realize that, people are dealing with this stuff, and and it was important for people. Like I said, most people won't go out and just do it themselves, but if you get a group of people together, it helps strengthen it and gets people involved. So I would recommend it. I know it's made huge differences for myself. I've gone through this, gone through a little more programs with John in this, and many times I find myself in a spot or a situation, and I'm getting a little stressed out, and just without even thinking about it, all of a sudden I just kind of calm myself and take a few deep breaths and relax, and it's almost instinctual now, right? That it happens, and it's a great thing to do. And the same thing, Dr. T, and the things that you've taught me over the periods of time, I've got less back problems, shoulder stuff, things I've talked to you about. I feel much better with that. And I know, my coworkers echo the same thing. So it's a great program. As I said before, it's not a lot of ask, a lot of time out of your schedule, and it benefits you. You'll see the benefits quickly if you just put the time into it. And thank you for putting this together.
Thanks for that, Hank. And I'll wrap it up because we are at the top of the hour, and I want to be respectful of both your times and your time too, Dr. T. I'm not knocking your time. But yeah, half an hour. So wrapping it up, thanks for being here today, gents. Really appreciate it all. And just last couple of comments. We do have the journal that is available to anyone, whether they go through the program or not. And that's in the caption right here below. You can join that caption or log on to that caption and get the journal. And then for the program, I'll switch the caption here. This is the program, bit.ly/21day Mind EXP. That's how you can sign up for the program. But not only can you sign up for the program, but you can actually pay it forward. So even if you've been through the program before, you can go on here and pay it forward to someone else who may be in need, may not be able to afford it themselves, but that's a great way to pay it forward. So check it out, bit.ly/21day Mind EXP. That's all I've got. Dr. T, you want to wrap it up?
Yeah, so last final words is there's basically 8 days until the next group starts, which is June 30th. So this isn't a rolling sign up. You have 8 days to sign up, and then the group goes through, and then we start another one. And this is the final group that will be at $97. We're going to be increasing the price due to some of the offerings that we have coming up for group 3. So if you want it at the $97 price, join us. You won't regret it. And a place that you can find these two gentlemen is LinkedIn. I know Hank Borkowski's on LinkedIn. Mike Ettore's on LinkedIn. You can check out his book, Trust-Based Leadership. Is there anything else, any other places you would like people to find you, gentlemen?
No, LinkedIn is my primary platform. I post almost every day on LinkedIn. I have a good following there. I love the platform.
Okay.
Mine also, yep.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for listening in. And John, as always, it's great being a co-host with you and teammate. Appreciate you all.
Thank you very much. We appreciate you too.
My privilege. Thank you, Teresa.
You're welcome.